Today, on Cooking with Sutherland, we will move on through industrial production of the delicious and nutritious creatine. Before we get to the fun stuff, here's a quick background. Oh, hi, I didn't see you there. Welcome to Cooking with Sutherland.
Creatine monohydrate is primarily a nutritional supplement that is taken by anyone from elite athletes to the average person training in the gym. It was introduced to the public around 1990 following the Barcelona Olympics, where power athletes such as sprinters believed that their performance had benefited from creatine supplementation.
Since then, the mass production of creatine has been on the upwards climb, with reported sales in the US being upwards of 400 million as of 2001. As of 1999, the estimated worldwide consumption was 2.7 million kilograms per year. With the fitness and athletics industry becoming larger and more popular every year, it is only to be expected that these numbers will exponentially be larger as of today.
You're probably thinking, what is creatine and what does it even do? Well, creatine isn't just a chemically produced powder that people feed into their bodies to get bigger muscles. It's also a natural constituent of red meat and manufactured in our bodies from three common amino acids: glycine, arginine, and methionine.
The typical male adult produces 2 grams of creatine per day and must rely on other dietary sources for extra. Creatine's main purpose in the body is to resynthesize adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, which is also known as the main source of power for our muscles. When a muscle is required to contract, ATP breaks down into adenosine diphosphate and an inorganic phosphate group. It is this splitting of the bond that powers the contraction of a muscle due to the spontaneous nature of the decomposition.
So when a muscle is depleted of ATP, it requires phosphate to rebuild it. That's where creatine comes in. It is stored in the body as creatine phosphate, so its job is to provide the phosphate that replenishes ATP. Additional supplementation of creatine increases creatine phosphate within the muscle, allowing a greater capacity for the muscle to create and utilize ATP. In other words, creatine enhances the ability of a muscle to maintain power output during brief periods of high-intensity exercise.
Time to get out your handy cookbooks. According to One Common Synthesis, a mass of around 1 metric ton of aqueous methylamine are added. That's a big measuring cup. This is added to an enamel reaction tank and cooled to about 10 degrees Celsius in an ice brine solution.
Now a simple nucleophilic substitution reaction is done to generate methylaminoacetonitrile. This is done by adding 400 kilograms of 45% aqueous glyconitrile dropwise, while the reaction temperature is maintained to around 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. Once all has been added, the reaction is stirred for 3 hours at around 20 degrees Celsius. Get out that handy KitchenAid! This is a simple nucleophilic substitution reaction to generate methylaminoacetonitrile.
At this point, any remaining aqueous methylamine will go through the condensation unit and into the recovery tank.
Next, the reaction liquid is cooled to room temperature and slowly stirred. The pH is adjusted to roughly 9 to 10 using 732 strong acid hydrogen from cation exchange resin, and the resin is filtered out.
The reaction liquid is transferred to a cyanamide condensation tank where 400 kilograms of 35% cyanamide is added dropwise. This undergoes a condensation reaction and is maintained at a temperature below 60 degrees Celsius.
Be patient. You'll get your hands on this delectable treat eventually.
It is then placed in an incubator for 2 hours, and crude creatine monohydrate is retrieved using centrifugal filtration. The crude product is suspended in 600 kilograms of deionized water and stirred for 2 hours at 50 degrees Celsius. It is again cooled to 10 to 20 degrees Celsius using the ice brine solution.
It is stirred for 3 hours, then allowed to crystallize. The final product is then filtered and washed with deionized water. This procedure will yield approximately 430 kilograms of 99% pure creatine monohydrate with a percent yield of 91.8%.
Now stepping out of the kitchen and into the classroom. Some of you may have heard of a bad stigma around creatine. Today, it's our job to myth-bust those beliefs.
A lot of people, as well as the media, have put creatine and anabolic steroids under the same category. It is often associated with bulging biceps and fake tans. When Olympic athletes began supplementing with creatine and producing some of the best performances seen, the media jumped to conclusions and blamed it on doping.
However, scientific evidence has shown that it is arguably the most cost-effective, beneficial, over-the-counter sports supplement in today's market. To this day, it is still considered legal by all national sporting organizations.
With regards to the side effects, there has been talk about kidney damage and dehydration. However, studies have found that kidney damage is only an issue for someone with pre-existing kidney problems. As for dehydration, no study has been able to prove this, although it is recommended to drink excess water while supplementing with creatine, as it does increase water retention in muscles.
We hope we provided you with an informative lecture on creatine monohydrate. Thank you for joining us on Cooking with Sutherland. Remember, don't try this at home.